All right. Well, now let me talk some fucking real shit. All right. Obviously, system working just fine. System working just fine. System working just fine. All right. Now, now again, what I'm saying is pretty much just at the top of my head. The thing that's funny is that I started recording, you know, the uh, this video that I'm doing, but for some reason it just didn't came out right and shit like that. Whether it be forgot to say some shit or motherfuckers fucking with your fucking neurons and shit, all of a sudden you forget shit. And it's true because obviously this system works just fine, all right? And I know that it works just fine because this has occurred to me, you know, many times and shit like that. Whether it be three times or more and shit. But also this system tends to fuck up too and shit like that. All of a sudden seeing the screen won't boot up, whatever the fuck. Who cares? The point is, when you know that technology being fucked with, it doesn't really fuck with you as much because you know that it's being done purposely. All right, it doesn't have that same, you know, approach that they wanted to have on you and shit like that. Again, it's all based psychologically to fuck with you. Um, saying that and shit like that. For example, just like the video that I just uploaded again minutes ago and shit like that. You know, if that was occurring to your child and shit like that, that their system's messing up or whatnot and shit like that. You know, if you're not aware that this type of shit occurs and shit like that, you you think to yourself like, yeah, it's just technology, it's just messing up. There's nothing wrong with it. You as a fucking parent that has a fucking child, now you're gonna become, a psychological problem for them and shit like that. It's gonna affect them. But let's tangent a little bit off of that and shit like that. Um, while me riding my fucking bicycles and shit, me, you know, jabbering and shit, I've said it before, like technology completely ruined everything like that. You know, technology, should have stayed like in the early '90s and shit like that. That's why me saying, oh, back to the '90s and shit like that. Because I don't know about you, but it's highly nostalgic to me and shit like that in the early '90s and shit like that because obviously that's where I grew up, '90s motherfucker. But the thing about it is that, to my understanding and shit like that, technology, well, the advancement of technology, you know, the way things are in society and shit like that, I don't know who the fuck gave the fucking word out and shit like that to release more advanced technology out to the fucking public and shit like that. It should have been kept for businesses and shit like that. Because now that you see, TVs now, instead of just being right your standard 1080p's and shit like that, now they're 4K, 8K, and wherever the fuck K. That's bullshit and shit like that. Because if you really understand what's going on and shit like that, it's to fuck with you and shit like that. All those 4K TVs and shit like that, fuck that and shit like that. I'm gonna give you a fucking example and shit like that. If you have a home, right, and you have multiple TVs and shit like that, all of them, running at 8K resolution and shit like that, very crisp fucking image and shit like that, it's gonna potentially fuck with you because, uh, for example, they just say that all of a sudden, the picture quality of it started to reduce and shit like that, or all of a sudden giving you like a 480p resolution or 360p resolution and shit like that. You're gonna be tripping out because you're so used to seeing it at that 8K level and shit like that. It's gonna fuck with you. You're gonna be like, what the fuck's wrong with the fucking TV and shit like that? It's gonna psychologically fuck with you, you know? And to give you more of an example and shit like that, uh, just like me watching a fucking video. on fucking YouTube and shit like that at, let's say, 1080p or even 720p. It looks good on a fucking monitor and shit like that. But it stops playing and shit like that. It freezes up and shit like that, and then it plays. And I have videos of it and shit like that on my other YouTube channel. But just recently and shit like that, it was doing that. And I checked the internet connection, everything's fucking running just fine and shit like that. So I'm like, man, fuck this. Let me reduce the fucking video quality and shit. So I just put it to the lowest fucking possible fucking bullshit, 144p, and it just plays just fine and shit like that. But it's all fucking pixelated, right? And since you're sort of more used nowadays to seeing all in like high definition shit, very nice and shit like that, it sort of fucks with you and shit like that. But then I'm started thinking like, wait up, fuck that, I'm gonna start watching all my fucking YouTube videos on my computer, fucking in very low, you know, settings and shit, very low picture quality shit, 144p and shit on that motherfucker, and eh, that way it doesn't fuck with me and shit like that because it does fuck with you, all right. Everybody that's in psychology will be like, yeah, it makes a lot of sense and shit like that, you know. Um, like I was saying and shit like that, I don't want to, whatever, stick to it and shit like that. But technology should have fucking been should have been just like it was in the early fucking 90s and shit like that. All that higher end 8K and shit, keep that for businesses and shit like that. Do not introduce it to the fucking public and shit like that. So the the thing that makes a lot more sense to me and shit like that is that these fucking motherfuckers, watches, whatever the fuck you want to call them and shit like that, they fucking infected those motherfuckers and corporations to push more advanced technology out to the fucking public to fuck with them and shit like that. That's the only thing that makes logical fucking sense. All right, and I'm quite certain that is the fucking truth of it, shit like that. A lot of motherfuckers will probably think like, no, it's because it's just, the technology keeps on increasing and shit like that. Yeah, you gotta keep it at a certain fucking level and shit like that for the public. If you're looking for like some crazy ass technology, keep that for businesses and shit like that. Do not bring it out to the fucking public. It's just gonna fuck them up. All right. Uh, Same thing with like smartphones and shit like that. You got smartphones that are handheld and shit like that with very crisp ass fucking screens and shit like that, right? They got like 4K and shit like that. Fuck that. That's crazy and shit like that. Um, that's a trip, you know. But real ass fucking shit. What? What else? Just the videos that I just fucking uploaded and shit like that. Corresponding to the type of shit that occurs to me and shit like that. If you're a genuine fucking parent and shit like that, and I'm quite certain this has occurred to a lot of fucking kids and shit like that, where most likely like their phones fucking up or something fucking up that's based on technology, and they were probably addressing it to their fucking parents, and their parents were like, they have no understanding of it and shit like that because either one, they're not educated or they don't know that that shit occurs and shit like that, and that does occur and shit like that. And now the actual most likely genuine parent has become you know gaslighting their child without them not even knowing and shit like that, if that makes sense, which makes a lot of sense. If the parent growing up, nobody told them that, hey, this type of shit does occur and shit like that. You're just brainwashed, or whoever is brainwashing the masses, which is everything that you watch and shit like that, or the media and shit like that. It's just brainwashing for the masses. That's all it is. Fuck. All I know, let's say if I was genuinely a fucking father and shit like that, I knew that type of shit was occurring and shit like that. Shit, right? I'll be support my. Let me see that shit. Oh shit, yeah, you be Mulder and Scully, motherfucker. Yeah, you don't know. Yeah, that kind of shit fucking occurs and shit. You're not going crazy and shit. I'm here with you, and shit. What the fuck? No, no, it's cool. Don't trip. It's gonna get better and shit like that. Somebody's fucking with it and shit like that. For real. They all at least be understanding, but oh, finally, at least I'm not the only one that's fucking tripping out and shit like that. No, you're not tripping out. The fuck? Yeah, he's being fucked with. Go fucking go ride a bicycle or some shit. When you get back, it's probably gonna get better. For real. The fuck? But there you go. But again, knowing that that type of shit occurs and shit like that, fuck that. No kids. You know that would completely neutralize nonsense.